afternoon, everybody. It's Leo coming at you once again with a video diary entry for the book Soft Thorns by Bridget DeVoe. No, it's been about a week, um, maybe a week and a half or two, um, since I came on and did one of these, but I definitely felt the vibe and the need to go ahead and come on here and do one of these. Not only because it's been a minute, but also um, just having read today's poem, I really do once again see some parallels within my own life regarding this piece. And to be perfectly honest with you, um, if you can really capture this music in the background, um, this piece, I have to say, puts us in a awkward state, kind of an awkward essence in this piece. As I was doing the writing, even though the writing for me was kind of. Not that I think the poetry is that, but sometimes some relationships leave you in such an awkward state that it's almost like you have to pause from even touching anything, from doing anything, to try to gain some sort of understanding as to what happened and why it happened. It's kind of a mixture of anger and um, resentment and just utter confusion as to why this went the way that it did. Here it is. I put my heart on the line. It's one of those things where you almost write to love herself and you'd say, "Love, I put my heart on the line for this mess to occur and totally distort and completely abolish my original view on love. My view of love has been tainted by this heartbreak, of which I cannot seem to fathom nor process regarding the guy who departed me. It's almost as if I were to say, to him, "I miss you," and he would respond, "Who are you?" as if he never knew me at all. I get a sense of fakeness, phoniness from this guy. And it's rather disappointing, but it's awkward, for Bridget. But in this awkward state, we find a solemn place to reflect and sort of externalize what we've been holding in for so long. We sort of take a journey within and try to banish the awkward energy within my thought pattern, regarding love and what have you, to perhaps maybe try to learn another lesson in the process, or learn the lesson that needed to be learned within this in the process. But today's poem reads, "You must think I'm crazy for missing something I never even had. Something I never even had." Video diary entry title, "You were absent the whole time." Imagine that, entertaining a relationship that you thought was, but in all actuality turned out not to be. You know, I've seen this, I've witnessed this in two situations thus far over the course of this past week. You know, and forgive my loud talking, but of course I'm trying to talk over the noise outside. But I have seen this happen over the course of the last week at least twice. One through a video segment that a guy did regarding how to know like 3 telltale signs or something like that that a guy doesn't want you. You know, and one of the things that this guy pointed out in his video is simply this. You know, when you are trying to make an effort to connect with this guy and he sort of comes up with reasons or excuses not to spend time with you, you know, even in his off time, you know what I'm saying? Likely you are just around for his convenience. And that was the point that he really touched on that hit home for me, because I have been thinking about some of this in my own life as far as relationships are concerned. I've been thinking to myself, I find myself wondering sometimes with certain people, you know, what is my purpose in your life? You know, am I that friend you just, or person, I'll say, not even friend, am I that person that you just kind of call up, you know, when you're bored? Or perhaps the classic, when you need something. Am I that go-to person that you call because you know that I have what you could possibly need? But any other time to check and see how I'm doing, you don't pick up the phone or you don't text or what have you. You just kind of leave me to initiate that because I have the capacity to care about somebody other than myself. And so that has me wondering, like, wow, you know. And the second situation that I encountered was, you know, somebody was on the verge of, you know, being in a relationship with another that basically entertained the idea of polygamy. One person is a monogamous kind of, you know, person in a relationship. The other person is, you know, polygamous, polar opposites. But the interesting thing about that is this revelation was discovered, you know, live on video. And the monogamous person was so distraught, and I just couldn't help but, you know, really empathize with that feeling, because it's like, for me personally, somebody who hasn't dated, who hasn't been romantically involved, I'm looking at that and it's just like, this is precisely the reason why I say I'm good where I am. And no, I have not gotten into the poetry part of this, and I'm going to in a minute, but I'm just doing a free for all, you know, and stating how I feel, but missing something that I never even had. You know, I found this kind of earlier on in my life too, when it's like, why do I miss this person so much? This person is probably not even thinking twice about me. And here I am, so engulfed in these rich thoughts about them, you know, about possibly, you know, being with them and what have you, and even entertaining, at the very least, a friendship. But the thing is, people, you really have to watch out for those who seek you, who seek to form ties with you only for their convenience. Be really watchful and cognizant of people who try to get close to you only to foster a level of convenience that they keep you around for. No other reason but if they need something, they know they can call you because you're so accessible to them. And nowadays, in this very selfish culture that we live in, I've said to myself, I reciprocate what's given. So, bottom line, if you show me that you just don't give a crap, you'd be surprised at how easy it is for me to reciprocate that. When you give me a reason not to care for you as a person, there's no conversation to be had. I could probably even see you struggling and not even lift a finger. If anything, I might just pray that, God use somebody else to supply your need. But I'm not going to be the one to invest my time and energy and resources in you after you clearly shown me you don't appreciate nothing I have to offer. Because understand, as much as I care for a person, I respect myself a lot more. I respect my worth a lot more. The purpose of you in the relationship is your presence should add some sort of value to what I already have uncovered independently of you. Not a lot of people grasp that concept, but see, when you mature early and you kind of have gone on that journey within early, you kind of know what you want and what you don't want in relationships. At the end of the day, you have to respect yourself and you have to know your worth, and you have to absolutely refuse to settle for less than what you deserve. If people can't mature and grow the heck up and, be what you would like, what you would desire in a relationship, they don't even need to be entertained, period. Really learn how to be happy with you so that, in the event you find someone who complements your lifestyle, that person adds value to you, adds value to your life and what you bring to the table. But yes, this one has us sort of in an awkward state, missing something I never even had. Diary entry title, you were absent the whole time. I know I went on about that, but now that I'm really in it, it's like a passion has just swept over me regarding this. But to dive into some of the poetry, my beginning piece titled A Breathtaking Picture. A breathtaking picture. It was like peering at the sun for the first time, but rather than blindsided, I became battered by the shine that never was, burned to a crisp by a fire that never existed, hopeless romantic's curse, dreaming up a summer season only to burn an eternal hellfire. Well, snap out of it, me that is. Sigh, a breathtaking picture. I pictured you to be this emulation of a morning sunrise, but again have uncovered a daunting sunset, that besets my hopes to actually fall in love with you. I'm soon to discover love was never existent within this connection. I am soon to discover once again another hope unrequited. Because you perhaps had me around only for your convenience when it suited you. And now that you've extrapolated what you've desired out of me, you no longer have a use for me, it seems. Empathizing with Bridget is how I'm speaking right now. But now I'm left in this awkward state, trying to undo the emotional madness so that I can actually examine this with some hint of reason to figure out just how in the world did this happen. I'm posing questions. Did I do something wrong? What's wrong with me? What happened? Am I at fault? Empathetically on the side, I would answer, Bridget, no, you are not at fault. Don't blame someone's ill-willed motives for the madness overall. You know, you were blinded by love. You know, it's a normal thing. You know, he showed you attention. He came off like he really cared, but ultimately in the end, his true colors came out. You know, like peering at the sun for the first time, but rather than blindsided, I became shattered by the shine that never was. So this sunrise that I was looking at regarding your presence was nothing more than an illusion, a burlesque of light, but the absence of a breathtaking picture, my beginning piece. This might be a lengthy one, but I'm really into this one. I'm really into this one. I don't know if it's the music or just the poem itself and my own reflections. It could be all encompassing, but this kind of topic means the world to me, if we can't already tell. But yes, we're about to have some fun with it. Okay. But yes, moving forward, the next piece, titled What's It Like with Him? What's it like with him? Sort of a question to herself, a soliloquial question to herself. What's it like with him? It's like singing ballads to a brick wall. Love songs painted with promise to last always and forever. Touching a chest without a heartbeat inside. Dancing in thin air, wondering how my breath could sustain oxygen, or let alone desire to breathe at all. Like the whisper that steals your heart away and swallows your soul. Like the feeling of having sold it all without a prenup. Madness, shame, all in the name of love, leaving you to wonder just what is that anyway? A figment or a reality founded upon false hope, who acted the part well. What's it like with him? I'm barely left to remember. Replying poses a much greater difficulty. Hard to describe a love that leaves you questioning whether or not she truly was. Love doesn't leave one overthinking, but knowing with a certainty. Trust like a permanent stain, but spotless we were together. Without him, my best depiction. What's it like with him? Trust like a permanent stain, but spotless we were together. Without him, my best depiction. There's a lot of ways to interpret that, but I guess if I could really go back and sort of give you a synopsis, what was it like with him? To be honest, It's hard for me to even reply to that question, because if there was a love existent between us, if there was a closeness within that relationship, I could actually describe it. But what I can say, it was like fondling a figment of my imagination. But the reality was much more ferocious than that, being that his love was absent and unrequited. That line right there, I'm barely left to remember replying, poses a much greater difficulty. Hard to describe a love that leaves you questioning whether or not she truly was. Love doesn't leave one overthinking, but knowing with a certainty. When someone loves you truly, you know it. You know it without a shadow of a doubt. There's not a day that goes by that you question that person's love. When a person really loves you, you know it. You may not be able to logically explain how you know it, but you just know it. Their consistent actions, you know, just everything. And my best friend, you know, Sergio, is such a prominent display of that. You know, I can't even describe to you how much I love this guy. You know, it's like sometimes when I think of him, I feel like there's so much crying that I have not done. I feel like my tears would be just as much, I would even say, wouldn't even say a burden at this point. I'd say my tears to my best friend are like healing waters, because he understands the depth of how much I love and how much being loved by somebody means to me. When I see the way that this world is going, it is rather daunting and it is depressing. It is daunting and it is depressing. But I can look at his face and be reminded I can even look at the face of family and be reminded some faces really flash across my mind, and I'm reminded. This is the kind of love that finds you in dark corners. This is the kind of love that unctions you forward when every other voice has cast you out. This is the kind of love that tells life, I'll take it from here, after she's shown you nothing but black rainfall and dark flowers and moonless nights upon a cemetery. This is the kind of love that shows you a beautiful sunrise over the sea. This is the kind of love that reminds you, this is the kind of love that reminds you of what a love poem is supposed to feel like when you read it. This is the kind of love that reminds you of what a touch is supposed to feel like. This is the kind of love that asks you, what are you scared of? And when you respond to this kind of love with the reply, I'm scared to get my heart broken, again, this is the kind of love that says, in response to that, hand her over. Hand her over. Bridget, I know we're in an awkward state, but we're gonna get through this. We're in a solemn place now where we have all the time in the world to figure out what happened. But I can tell you this, sweetheart, it's not on you. You're not the reason why this was damaged. No, you're not, sweetheart. You're not. You're the reason why this love could have flourished. He's the reason why this love demolished. Understand that where you may want love and desire to flourish, someone is feasting on their inner famine on the opposing end. But this is where, Bridget, you have to flourish in your self-love and in knowledge of your worth, babe. This is where you have to flourish in those two. This is where you have to understand who you are as a person and understand how precious your heart is. And that your heart doesn't just belong in any hands. No, there's a pair of hands, there's a set of palms crafted, designed to handle a heart like yours, where most people would treat it like glass and shatter it upon the first carry, because they've never learned how to handle hearts properly. But no, sweetie, there's a pair of hands designed to not only carry your heart, but no, this person would say with her heart, I was entrusted, and I'm gonna triumph in loving her until my last breath, loving her like She deserves to be loved. Like she needs to be loved. Her heart is too fragile for that, to just treat it any kind of way. Beautiful, there's a set of hands designed to handle your heart in just that manner. You just have to wait and work on your self-love. Very deep, I know. But I'm gonna go into some of the other poetry now. Just like the stars, my next piece. Just like the stars. To paint themselves like midnight dots upon the windowsill, like shimmering follicles of snowfall upon a cozy night. But snowballs will be snowballs tossed to the eyes, harshly by surprise, like an avalanche burying the skin, martyring within, the heart accompanying. Wipe her face, beloved, and get some rest. You've had a long day. Coffee awaits our consumption. Pardon my unction, love. Just want to see you well. They are beautiful, though. The bright stars up high, riding the night. Gaze whilst you fall asleep, fawning deep the purest of light. Truest of sights, distant but honest. He was no star, but a spot, less noticeable now. Shut the blinds too, some shut-eye beloved. Good night. Just like the stars. Maybe upon first sight he might have looked like the stars, and I'm sorry about that. Little sound. Apparently I didn't know my alarm clock knew how to set itself. But moving forward, he might have looked like the stars upon first sight. But no, he was nothing more than the residue of snowballs tossed at your windows. Metaphorically, those windows being your eyes. He treated his time with you like a snowball fight. That he apparently believes he's won. But he didn't realize that his cold heart and callous nature tainted one's beautiful eyes. And so, blinding her vision on what it's like to really love and be loved. Understanding that it has its ups and downs, but nothing like this. Where cruelty casts a bitter and harsh spell upon the compassionate heart, seeking nothing but to love and give and share its world with another. But he's a star, he's a spot that you thought was a star upon your window, but he's less noticeable because we're wiping the sight of him away. He's nothing more than dust out the door, debris long forgotten. In the winds flies a distant memory, the mark of his departure. But yeah, just like the stars. But I want to see you get some shut-eye, kind of like my writing to her, kind of like a friend would write to their person, or this could even be a dialogue she has with herself, trying to tell herself, get some sleep. You've had a long day thinking about him this deeply. But yeah, just like the stars. And the next piece, question, how did we get here? How did we get here? Atop the mountain, with but my feet remaining, the moon seems to pose a faithful companion, a compass guiding me further and further to my destiny, a future I long to share with you. Safe to say the seer was half right, that I would reach this height, the sight of you absent from me, the highest good accompanied the extraction of your glory. Your heartbeat is but a distant sound, though once a passionate melody resounding. I've lost my rhythm trying to keep up with you, or keep you for that matter. Well, so long. Just how though? How did I end up here? A question reserved for we, but as universe would have it, me first, against all odds, above all else, chosen. How did we get here? How did I get to this better place? How did I reach this better spot in my life? I deleted you so that I could delight in me, and thus growth. How did I get here? The next one, the last poem in the series, titled So I Imagined. So I imagined. I didn't want to believe the crumbling I saw in a vision before I ventured into the wilds. I wanted to envision that burst of fire, hold her a while longer between my eyes, but I forgot fireworks don't work the same. Much like the fling that binds them, zap, pow, poof, gone. Magician's grandest prize. Disappearing act, grand finale. I should have trusted her, as imagined, so it was, intuitive's promise. So I imagined. As I intuited, so it happened. Perhaps I knew all along what was bound to happen, but I treated the fireworks like an explosion, but no. They are vastly different, though in appearance they mirror one another with a great vibrancy. They each have a glory about them, but much like sunrise and sunset, there's a vast difference in appearance. Similarities, but vast differences. But so I imagined, looking back. And my after quote, titled Discarded. Discarded. Disheveled, I know, new levels we grow. Departed he goes from us. We carry on smartly, artfully. We toss him, darling, floss him. Chew no more upon bones, beloved. Sour meat, discarded. Spit him out now. There you go. Dumpsters that way. Discarded. Trying to preserve a person who is clearly not meant to be there, Bridget, it's like chewing bones of meat that had no taste nor substance to begin with, but you partook of it, and now all you're left with are just bones that you're chewing, hoping to preserve the taste of the meat that was once on it. But we're discarding him by all means. And in my own personal life, I'll just say I've had to kindly implement that same piece of advice that I render her, discarding people. And if I don't discard you, second to that would be loving you from a distance. You may be one of those people I check on once in a while, but not frequently. But part of it is understanding the dynamic of your relationship with each person you encounter. You know, not everybody can be the matron of honor or your best man. In regards to your life's purpose and leading you down the aisle. Not everybody can be close to you. You know, sometimes you'll find yourself alone on this journey, but you're really not. No. You have people who care for you. Not only something I would tell Bridget, but something I tell Leo. Leo, you have people who care for you along your journey. You just continue in hot pursuit in becoming who you were designed to be. Keep traveling along the way and the right people will come along. And the right people will stay. Though they may not understand everything about you in that moment, they're willing to take a journey through the layers of who you are and who you're trying to become. Safe to say, I have friends who are a very stunning depiction of that. Faithful companions, beautiful people. And Bridget, certainly with a beautiful girl like you, if I can find it, so can you. But him, let's discard him now, sweetie. But yes, video diary entry, you were absent the whole time. And P.S., kind of hard to dissolve something that was never even present. But we just uncovered the reality and dissolved the fantasy. And now we can truly begin to flourish. Yes, diary entry, you were absent the whole time. Yes, you must think I'm crazy for missing something I never even had. Move on, sweetie. Move on. Yes, take care, be blessed, and be encouraged and inspired in all of those wonderful things. I love you so very much, guys. Blessings.